Hi everyone, got a story for you today. The US standard railroad gauge, that's the distance between the rails, is 4 feet 8.5 inches, and that is a very odd number. So why have they used that gauge? Well, that's because that's the way they were built in England, and English engineers designed the first US railroads. So why did the English build them like that? Because the first rail lines were built by the same people who built the wagon tramways, and that's the gauge they used. So why did they use that gauge? Because the people who built the tramways used the same jigs and tools they had for building wagons, which used the same wheel spacings. So why did the wagons have that particular wheel spacing? Well, if they tried to use any other spacing, the wagon wheels would break more often on some of the old long-distance roads in England, because that's the spacing of the wheel ruts. So who built the old rutted roads? Imperial Rome built the first long-distance roads in Europe, including England, for their legions. So these roads have been used ever since. Now, what about the ruts in the roads? Well, Roman war chariots created the initial ruts, and everyone else had to match or run the risk of destroying their wagon wheels. And since the chariots were made for Imperial Rome, they were all alike in the matter of wheel spacing. Therefore, the United States standard railroad gauge of 4 feet 8.5 inches is derived from the original specification for an Imperial Roman war chariot. Bureaucracies really do live forever. So next time you're handed a specification or a procedure and wonder what horse's arse came up with this, you might actually be right. Imperial Roman army chariots were made just wide enough to accommodate the rear ends of 2 war horses. But there is a twist to the story. Now, when you see a space shuttle sitting on its launch pad, there's 2 big booster rockets attached to the sides of the main fuel tank. These are solid rocket boosters, or SRBs. The SRBs are made at a factory in Utah. The engineers who designed them would have preferred them a little bit fatter, but the SRBs had to be shipped by train from the factory to the launch site. The railroad line from the factory happens to run through a tunnel in the mountains, and the SRBs had to fit through that tunnel. The tunnel is slightly wider than the railroad track, and the railroad track, as you know, is as wide as 2 horses behind. So a major space shuttle design feature of what's arguably the world's most advanced transportation system was determined over 2,000 years ago by the width of a horse's arse. Sometimes being at the bottom is important. See you again.